Today, we're talking all about how to travel to Maui right now. Whether you're flying direct or have a layover on Oahu, this episode answers all those questions. Let's do it.
Welcome to Hawaii's Best podcast, where we help you prepare for your next trip to Hawaii. Discover the experiences, businesses, and stories that make Hawaii the Aloha state. And now, your host, Bryan Murphy.
Aloha and welcome to another episode of Hawaii's Best, where we help prepare you for your next trip to Hawaii. My name is Bryan Murphy, the owner of Hawaii's Best, where we offer resources, tips, and local cultural insights to get the most out of your visit on the islands so you can discover the Aloha state. On episode 50, I went over how to travel safely to Hawaii right now during this COVID season and how to navigate the state's Safe Travels program. Today, this has been our most downloaded episode within a week of its release, which is amazing. Thank you so much. However, it opened up a Pandora's box, if you will, and the messages and emails started flooding in with a lot of questions asking about inter-island travel. Since there are so many layers to traveling to Hawaii right now, over the next few episodes, I'll be unpacking how to travel to other islands such as Maui, Kauai, and Hawaii Island. We're going to jump right in and talk about how to travel to Maui right now. And as a refresher from episode 50, the 5 steps to travel to really any island right now and to navigate Hawaii's Safe Travels program. Step 1 is you're going to want to select a COVID test option, and it must be from a Hawaii-approved testing site. And step 2 would be take the test no more than 72 hours prior to your last leg of departure. Children 5 years and up must be tested. And you're going to want to take into account time zones and all that stuff, especially if you're flying from the East Coast and you have a layover on the West Coast. You want to take into account 72 hours as the last leg of your departure. And to get all that info, be sure to go to our show notes and listen to episode 50, where I unpacked all that good stuff. Step 3, create an account on the state of Hawaii's Safe Travels website. Pretty self-explanatory. Step 4 is upload your negative test results to your Safe Travels account. And step 5 is you'll need to present your QR code of negative test upon arrival. And that is definitely at the airport. And also, if you're planning on renting a car, they'll ask to see your QR code as proof of a negative COVID test. Also, if you are checking into a hotel or resort, they're more than likely asked to see that QR code as well. All right, so now on to Maui County. Maui County being the islands of Maui, Lanai, and Molokai. The other counties of Kauai and Hawaii Island have a few differences, and those will be covered on a later episode. Probably one of the most asked for islands how to travel to would be Maui. So we're going to cover that right now, and the other ones we'll tackle within this month. Probably the biggest news right now is coming out of Kauai. They have just been approved to rejoin the state's Safe Travels program, and that's going to be starting on April 5th. That is amazing news because for the last few months, they've been doing this resort bubble thing that's been honestly kind of confusing how to navigate, and travel to Kauai has been pretty confusing, honestly. So starting April 5th, Maui will rejoin the Safe Travels program, and we will unpack all that at a later episode. So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe and follow. Shameless plug there. Anyways, when thinking about this episode, there are 3 main questions or topics that we've been getting at Hawaii's Best about travel to Maui. And those 3 would be questions like, my final destination is Maui, but my connecting flight is on Oahu. Another question that we've been getting is, I'm flying direct to Maui. What should I know? And we'll unpack some of that because it's a little bit different than flying direct to Oahu. And the other question is, what's with this Aloha Safe Alert app? So we're going to unpack those 3 things pretty quickly here. But first, I just want to give you this week's review of the week, as we are all about spreading aloha here at Hawaii's Best. I don't know what it is, but our podcast really has shot up in the rankings and ratings this last few weeks. And I just want to say, honestly, thank you so much. When starting Hawaii's Best, starting a podcast was kind of always on the back burner, something that I've always wanted to do. And it's really cool that it's actually here, and this podcast that we so desperately want to provide value to you and for you as you visit Hawaii. And I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It really means a lot. And today's review comes from Skyboy MCO on Apple Podcasts, and it's titled One Island to Another. And it goes on to read, Aloha. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I've been in love with Hawaii since I had sense of reasoning. I found about this podcast through Instagram, and I am so hooked with all the information and storytelling. Hawaii and its people have an amazing place in my heart. I go multiple times a year and hoping to call it home sometime soon. Thanks for bringing aloha miles away to those who love and respect Hawaii the most. Stay safe and be well. Aloha. Skyboy MCO, I don't know your real name, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate that. And thank you so much for taking the time to do that. And if you've been listening to Hawaii's Best for a while, I would highly encourage you to just take a couple minutes and leave a rating and honest review below. That would mean the world to us here at Hawaii's Best. All right. So going on to how to travel to Maui, let's do this. So the first question may be complex at the surface, but it's pretty, I think, an easy answer. And I'm going to read right from the Safe Travels website. To me, it sounds a bit confusing, and I'm going to unpack that for you. It goes on to read in their frequently asked questions. My flight lands in Honolulu on Oahu, but my final destination is one of the neighbor islands. Will I need to show my pre-test negative results QR code to airport personnel in Honolulu, or do this when I arrive on the neighbor island that is my final destination? And the answer on the website, Safe Travels, is this. Upon arriving at Honolulu, you will then be required to fill another Safe Travels Hawaii program application form that will apply to your trip from Honolulu to your neighbor island destination airport. This would also be the process if you land on the island of Maui, Kauai, or the island of Hawaii first and transit to another island. Obtaining your QR code for Hawaii airport processing prior to departure will significantly reduce your arrival airport screening. So a further question would be to this: what if my final destination is Maui? However, I have a layover on Honolulu, Oahu. And here's what the Hawaii State Department of Health had to say on that. Quote, if you have just a layover in Honolulu, then the negative test result is good through your final departure, such as Maui. And I inserted that. And it goes on to read, if your break in Honolulu is more than a layover, then you are captured by the inter-island quarantine. Captured. Why? I don't know why I use the word captured, but anyways, what it means is if you have a layover, or simply a layover in Honolulu, and you're traveling to Maui, then your negative test result is good through your final destination being Maui. And it's kind of ambiguous. The wording is what's more than a layover. And I would say, like, if you're not traveling the same day, or if you're not traveling, your connecting flight isn't within a couple hours of arriving in Honolulu, that's probably more than a layover. If that's the case, then you got to do the whole process again. And that's what it means about being captured by the inner island quarantine. It goes back to the testing negative to COVID 72 hours prior to departure. And you have to do that through inter-island travel as well. We're going to link in the show notes the approved testing inter-island partners. So be sure to check that out. If you are planning on traveling to Maui and you've stayed on Oahu, say for 7 days, 14 days, you're going to need to test again at your own expense. Kind of like how you tested going to Oahu, you're going to need to test again in order to get to Maui. But if you simply have a layover in Honolulu at the airport and your connecting flight is within a few hours of going to Maui, then your negative test results that you took initially will be good to get you into Maui. Goodness, I hope that all made sense. Now, if you are flying direct to Maui, all the things apply as far as everything that we talked about in episode 50, getting results of a negative COVID test within 72 hours of your last leg of departure. That all applies flying direct to Maui. If you're flying, for example, LAX to Maui, that applies for that route. Some of the things you should know flying to Maui, I would say to any of the islands, but especially to Maui, people are taking safety and health precautions very seriously on Maui. And I would just ask you to travel pono, travel responsibly, wear a mask when you're out. I know you've probably heard this over and over and over, and I don't know where you stand with the whole mask thing, but if you're planning on going to Maui, please just be respectful of, I would just say on the heart and behalf of the local business owners to, yes, go out and explore Maui, go support local businesses, go support the businesses of Maui, but please just be mindful of the mask requirements there as you're traveling and going about and doing your thing. So thank you for doing that. If you're planning on doing Road to Hana, which is such a huge and epic journey, which is like a whole day process, right? Just be mindful that Hana has slowly began to being reopened. The locals that live in Hana have been pretty reluctant, honestly, to welcome back travelers again because resources out in Hana on the east side of Maui are so precious and so scarce. We just have to be mindful that a lot of influx to that location could be damaging. It could compromise the health and well-being of Hana. So as you're traveling to Hana, I'm not going to discourage traveling Road to Hana because if you do it responsibly, like Travel Pono, if you do it responsibly, you do it with Aloha, you'll be welcomed, but just be mindful of the trails you go on, be mindful of where you're traveling in the car or where you're hiking. And that can really go a long way on Maui as you're traveling to Hana. And I mean, that can go a long way on any of the islands as you travel Pono. The other question is about this Aloha Safe Alert app. And this is kind of where Maui is set apart from the other counties. They require you, and they're super serious about downloading the Aloha Safe app. And we'll link that in the show notes because it's super important. If you don't have that on your smartphone, you are subject to the 10-day quarantine. So Maui is super serious about making sure you have this app downloaded prior to entry into Maui County. And I'm just going to kind of go through a few of their frequently asked questions on mauicounty.gov about this app. And I'll link it up in the show notes because I only want to give you official information and not speculation. So one of the first questions is you're probably wondering, what is the Aloha Safe Alert app? MauiCounty.gov goes on to say that it's a free app for your mobile phone that notifies users of possible exposure to someone who has tested positive to COVID-19. Why does Maui County require all arrivals to download and activate this app? And it goes on to read, it is another layer of protection in our community's battle against coronavirus. Early exposure notification alerts users to be tested and, if needed, participate in contact tracing and quarantine to prevent additional spread. So probably the biggest question is question 3 on this website is, well, how does it work? And they go on to say, if a person is diagnosed with COVID-19, they will receive a text message from the Department of Health with a verification code to input into the app. Using Bluetooth technology, the app will anonymously alert other devices about possible COVID-19 exposure. It anonymously, I can't say that word. It anonymously tracks, you get it, devices that have been in close contact within 6 feet and over 15 minutes. During the past 14 days, individuals who receive an exposure alert will not know where, how, or when they were exposed. So you can read the rest of the FAQs on mauicounty.gov about this app. I don't want to go into all of them. There's like 9 different questions, 10, 11. Oh my goodness, wait. There's like 12, 14. There's 14 different FAQs about this app, and you can go to mauicounty.gov. If you really want to get to Maui, you're going to want to make sure you download this app. It's not a big deal, but if you are on the fence about having this app, I totally get it. Maybe your next trip to Hawaii isn't Maui, but it is on Oahu, where if you want to travel to Oahu, go to episode 50, and all the things that I discussed there will get you in to Oahu. But traveling to Maui, there's not a lot of additional hurdles. There are some, but just to be mindful of. That's why I wanted to bring you this episode. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this and being a part of this community. Like I mentioned about the review earlier, if you've been listening to this podcast for some time and you like it and you want other people to find it who love Hawaii as much as you, probably not more than you, but as much as you, go ahead and leave a rating and review if you are listening on Apple Podcasts. I totally appreciate that. Well, until next time, friends, be well. Aloha.
Thanks for listening to Hawaii's Best Podcast. To stay up to date on future episodes, be sure to subscribe. For more information to help you plan your next trip to Hawaii, visit hawaiisbesttravel.com.